All right, over these slides, we will go over marriage, kids, and divorce. Romantic love, we talked about a couple chapters ago, it is for younger people generally. Older people are more likely to have affectionate love, and we talked about this. Basically, you outgrow passionate love and you move into a more substantial type of love. Or you find out that you don't have that deeper love for the person, and then you possibly get divorced. So think about this for a second. Who is more likely to start the divorce? Which gender is more likely to start the divorce? It turns out it is 66% of women said they started the divorce compared to 41% of men. Now think about this. What is the primary reason that women gave for asking for the divorce? So think about it. What is the primary reason that women ask for divorce? The primary reason for women at 23% was verbal, physical, and emotional abuse. The next one is alcohol, drug abuse at 18%, and then cheating, 17% of them listed that for the primary reason. So there are really serious issues that are causing divorce from the perspective of women. Okay, now think about this. Why do men ask for divorce? Why would men ask for divorce? Some of you are not going to like the answer to this. For men, the highest listed reason is no obvious reason, just not in love anymore. That comes in at 17%. Not a real reason, just 17%. They're just tired of the relationship. In second place is cheating at 14%, and then in third place, it kind of a tie, different values or lifestyles at 14% too. So some huge gender differences in why you ask for divorce. Related to this, a lot of couples will stay together for the kids, but that's not necessarily a good idea. What they are doing is providing a model of a loveless marriage for their kids. So definitely something to think about. Also during this time, kids begin to grow up and leave the house, and people think that this causes what's called an empty nest syndrome. It's probably not true. Most people do not seem to experience this empty nest syndrome. Kids think that their parents are going to miss them terribly, but now parents actually have more time to themselves. They get to do what they want instead of having to take care of other people all the time. So for some couples, it can actually lead to a happier time for the parents because they have more time to do the things they would like to do, like leisure activities that we talked about last chapter. Point being, empty nest, most couples do not experience it. That being said, sometimes they come back, which is common in this society because of difficulties in finding employment after college or shelter-in-place orders like we're experiencing now. And this can cause problems, both for the kids and the parents. They were basically free from each other, and they didn't have to answer to one another. And now they are back in the past, where you have to take on these old roles, and everybody's expected to act how they acted 3 or 4 years ago, and it's just not the case. Remember, there's a lot of identity changes that happen in early adulthood. So when you go back, you might be a different person, and it's hard to take on those old roles that you had when you were in adolescence. When kids return home, the loss of privacy is one of the biggest complaints on both sides, the parents and the kids. Also, what you should probably decide on are the rules beforehand to avoid future conflicts. So, should you pay rent? Should you pay bills? Do you get to come and go as you please? Is there going to be a curfew in place? Sex, alcohol, are these things that are allowed in the house? You're an adult now, but still, again, you're going to be maybe going back to these old roles where there maybe is going to be these rules in place. These are things that you definitely want to discuss before moving back in, because if you think you're an adult and then you move back in and your parents think you're going to have to abide by these rules, it is going to cause a lot of conflict. I do wonder how this is working out now because of the shelter in place, the dorms emptying, and have to do the shelter in place. And there wasn't time to discuss things like this. It just kind of happened all of a sudden. You just had to move back. So I do wonder how some of you how everyone is adjusting to that, not just kids going back home or young adults going back home, but how their parents are reacting to that. Another reason that parents aren't exactly thrilled to get the kids back in the house is because they're already taking care of some other people. They may be taking care of an aging parent at the same time. There's a term for this. It's called the sandwich generation. This is where you have to take care of a kid and an aging parent at the same time. 40% of middle-aged adults are taking care of a parent. One of the reasons that we have so many more grandparents, in 1900, only 4% of 10-year-olds had all 4 living grandparents. So I'll say it again. 1900, only 4% of 10-year-olds had 4 living grandparents. In 2000, 40% had all 4 living grandparents. So that is a huge increase, and we've talked about this, how life expectancy has increased dramatically since 1900. Also, some grandparents, they're actually having to take care of the kids due to issues with the parents, like divorce that we talked about, adolescent pregnancies, drug use by the parents. As a side note, it's not a good thing to be raising kids in middle and late adulthood. That time in your life should be over. So grandparents that are raising kids are more likely to be depressed. They're definitely going to experience more stress, which can lead to all kinds of negative outcomes. So there's definitely a preference to avoid that happening if possible. Very briefly on siblings. Most sibling relationships in adulthood are close. If they are not close, though, before middle adulthood, they probably won't be close in later adulthood. It's rare for closeness to develop in adulthood. Also, for men, if they had poor sibling relationships in childhood, they were more likely to be depressed at 50. Why do you think that is? Is it chicken, egg? What is that? Think about that. Maybe go talk about it in the discussions. All right. That's it for chapter 14. Thank you for listening.